But I had retweeted the guy. Davi is repulsive, idiot. They said the same about jazz greats in their time. FTP, which is not, I continue to be. I was really upset. Here's his rant, okay? All right. Here we go. I was really upset, guys.
Dear fellow Americans, just my quick little rant on this halftime nonsense. I mean, come on, stop with the ghetto crap. I'm done with the ghetto. I've had it up to here with ghetto. I know.
Stop with the ghetto crap. I'm done with the ghetto. I've had it up to here. And then he does the neck thing with ghetto. Okay, Italiano from the '60s. Oh, he doing it. Done with the ghetto. Hey, yo. Oh boy, we're in for it, man. Only 10 seconds in.
They want to say rap is this and rap is the streets and rap is the current and rap is the that. Look at jazz. The jump black and jazz blues artists. Give me the Count Basie band. Give me Duke Ellington's band. Give me the history. Give me jazz. You want to go black? Go art.
Okay, so now Robert Davi is an expert in black music, in jazz and rap, and, and the history of American music. All right, so first thing is he's belittling an art form. And whether you're into that art form, that's not the point. It's an art form. It's a form of expression. It's a form that came out of nothing and something was created. That's what art is. Now, whether you're into that art, that's a whole different argument. Musical art forms, new musical art forms are synonymous with those neighborhoods, with those communities that are not classically structured as you are used to as far as European music. It's not better, it's not worse, it's just different. It is a different form of art. Now, he talked about, yeah, give us jazz, give us Count Basie, give us the jazz, give us the blues, the jump blues. Okay, let's go back. Okay, 100 years ago, jazz was created by the black men of Louisiana. Blues was from the Delta. And those melted in and, for lack of better words, created modern time in music. Modern time was more of late 20s. But let's go back. Let's go back to the inception of American jazz. Okay? American jazz, the white popular culture did not want black people to take credit for jazz. In fact, you had very accomplished white jazz musicians who said the very same thing about what Robert is saying about black jazz musicians. They did everything they could to take away the music from black people, that art form of jazz. Now, this is not an opinion. This is not an opinion. This is fact. That first they tried to claim that they invented jazz. Give me a fucking break. Then jazz musicians, because they were black, of course they were segregated and couldn't play. There was only certain places they could play, and then if they did play in white audiences, white auditoriums, they'd had to bail. But as jazz got more popular, so did the backlash against jazz. And everything he just said about rap, that's what they said about jazz. That's exactly what they said about jazz. From why do you think so many jazz artists left the States? Give me a fucking break, Robert Davi. You have no idea what your stupid ass is talking about. Now, let's go to jump blues into blues and modern time, right? Louis Armstrong, for lack of better, really created modern time. This kind of like the beat that you hear in all music. It's all derivative from jazz and from modern time. It's all black. And every time they kind of played out everything they could, they created something else, and then something else. So this guy is trying to be a hall monitor with music, and he doesn't even realize that the very critique that he's saying against rap, that's exactly what uh, our American ancestors, were saying about American jazz. It's not real music, and this is before rock and roll, guys. This is and you know how they freaking just were awful with black musicians in rock and roll. We're not even there yet. But let's go on with this turkey, okay? Let's go on with this turkey.
Don't go ghetto. Let's lift the streets. Let's lift these kids off the streets.
Don't go ghetto. Let's lift these kids off this.
Enough with the garbage. Enough with the garbage. Enough with bringing these kids down into the garbage. Like that's the cool thing to do and this and that. No, those.
At the very least, he's just completely out of touch with what kids listen to, with what so-called garbage is, and whether it uplifts or doesn't. That depends on the artist. But there are plenty of Kendrick Lamar fans that are completely uplifted, not only uplifted by his music, but are enlightened by the language of his music. This is a master writer, Kendrick Lamar. So this guy is not an idiot.
Gentlemen that created an art form, a gorgeous art form, those jazz artists. Let's propagate that in America. Enough with this bullshit.
Okay, if anything's dead, it's jazz. Jazz has been dead. Okay, even the greatest jazz artist, arguably, called it dead. Miles Davis, and that was by the mid '60s, the latest, and he was already doing fusion. He was already doing fusion. That's the whole other thing. Miles Davis, Charlie Parker, Thelonious Monk, they took jazz into the stratosphere, into just completely intergalactic, like just they did everything they could with jazz.
The NFL hired this act and those jazz artists. Let's propagate that in America. Enough with this bullshit. Who in the NFL hired this act? And Sam Jackson monkeying around. I mean, I'm sorry. It just repulsed me. It absolutely repulsed me. What was the point? What's the point?
I'm gonna play this again, because here he absolutely loses all credibility and likability that I had with him.
Bullshit. Who in the NFL hired this act? And Sam Jackson monkeying around. I mean, I'm sorry. It just repulsed me. It absolutely repulsed me. What was the point? What's the point?
Well, it's a political statement. It was a statement, and it actually it flies right in your face, Robert, because you are telling, for lack of better words, these black artists how to be. Well, black's fine as long as it's got to be nice jazz, and you got to be proper, and you got to be this. That was the whole point of his Uncle Sam iteration. Now, your usage of the word monkeying around is really poor usage describing Sam Jackson. It's pretty disgusting. And you gotta call this out just because we share some conservative thoughts on issues. I don't share this thought. Fuck that. And the homeboy's like, oh, he's monkeying around. Hey, sorry, forgive me. Hey, I use monkey talking about black people. Hey, you forgive me. What the fuck? Who talks like that, man? And if you do talk like that, who talks like that on a video? To me, This is the same, and not the racial thing. I'm talking about the shit we do on a phone camera and then that we put up there. To me, this is the same thing as Selena Gomez crying for the deported kids. It's like, you know what? If that's how you feel, cool. Don't put it up. Selena, I'm actually with you. I think you have a wonderful heart. You still should not have put that up. And we talked about this, guys. We have talked about this. Robert Davi, that is how you feel. That is how you really feel. So, oh, these, Sam Jackson monkeying around with the, oh my God. I mean, what are you in a, you in a scene from Goodfellas? You in a scene from Goodfellas? Let me record it. Let me put it up because my patriots, my fellow patriots are gonna, we all think alike. No, we don't. No, we don't. And this is bad form. Bad form, Sa. What do you guys think of that rant? Uh, I think it's pretty disgusting, guys. So it makes for great content. Yeah, man, you can't be like saying like, monkeying around and you're describing Sam Jackson. No elotes or batatas on the grill. No. No, no, no. It was pretty American last night, yesterday. It was American and then soul food cuz our friend that brought over the food he's actually a soul food chef, so it was fried chicken. Yeah, you can't do elotes and tamales every time, dog. Even though tamale always sounds good. Okay, so Davi saw to touch what people are saying about rap now, what they said about Beethoven music 1800s, and how it was not secular. All right, so let's continue because I was on a pretty big drive, and we got another minute of this.
Let's lift the kids. Let's give them something to aspire to, talent to aspire to. Let's train them in instruments and jazz and stop this rap crap that everybody thinks is the new Shakespeare. It's not. It's garbage.
Yeah, it's not. It's garbage. It's garbage. The new rap. Everyone thinks it's a new Shakespeare. It's not. It's garbage. It's garbage, I tell you. This guy. This guy. Um, he said something about instruments, right? At a certain time when I want to say, and listen, guys, they were saying this about black musicians in rock and roll. That's why you didn't have. That's why they didn't push black rock and rollers at the first. Okay, so in regards to instruments, because that's how a lot of people always qualify music. Well, they're not playing instruments, and because they're not playing instruments, I say that's not music. Hmm. The advent of rap and scratching came out of an expression where they didn't have access to instruments, guys. They couldn't afford instruments to a certain degree. That's why the toastmaster, the host, the master of ceremonies, the MC became the instrument. The lyrics became another part of the instrument. The writing, and whether how clever it was or how just very simple it was, it's still an art form. It's just a different one. This reminds me of poor Mexican kids who wanted to be musicians, and for that first generation, I want to say in the 80s and 90s, the Mexican bands that came out and that were popular and that were successful were always from affluent families because they could afford instruments. And that was always the case, man. And then you saw bands like Maldita Vecindad, Control Machete, who flipped it and had the hand-me-down instruments, but man, they were mixing the pachuco punk and rap and hip hop with cumbias and ska. It was amazing to watch, but it always had to do with economically where you were at. And so a lot of this art form came from the fact that a lot of these kids just couldn't afford instruments. What do you want from them? They were creative though, and they created this art form. So Davi's take is just one of the worst, most bigoted things I've ever heard. Just completely ignorant. And let me stop there.
That everybody thinks is the new Shakespeare. It's not. It's garbage. It's not lifted. It's down. It's down. You have such great musicians, great black jazz musicians, and
Who? They had black jazz music. They actually had John Batiste, and they had did they have a Marcellus? They had two black jazz artists open up the darn Super Bowl pre-thing. So what is it? And I'm not talking about the national anthems. I'm talking about John Batiste singing the national anthem, which I thought was a wonderful rendition. Then they had jazz all up in that thing, all up in it. So I don't know what planet Homeboy's on, but boy, it was going off.
other musicians that could have been used. And instead of this crap, what are they trying to do? What's the message? What's the message in the collard greens? Tell me.
Whoa! What's the message? What's the message? Well, what's the message in the collard greens? Tell me. Wait, what the fuck, man? Well, what's the message in the tamales? Tell me. Well, why are they singing up there in Spanish? That's not American. Tell me. What's the message in the chilies, in the chili peppers? Oh my God, what's the message in the collard greens? Woo! I don't know, man. Well, let's finish this out.
This ghetto crap. I'm done with ghetto crap. Lift the streets, man. Lift the streets, and black brothers and sisters, you've got so much talent out there.
Yeah.
Lift the streets.
Yeah.
Teach your kids dignity.
You tell them.
Let's bring them into dignity
Tell 'em,
instead of the
Davi.
street.
Tell them, you black people, you're so talented. But you're down. Because you're monkeying around with the collard greens. Because you're down. Fucking moron.
Out there. Lift the streets. Teach your kids dignity.
Teach your kids
Let's bring them
dignity.
into dignity instead of the street. Instead of shitting in the streets. Enough of it.
Instead of shit on the streets. All right, that's Robert Davi. Oh boy.